We've all been there, right? That late-night, caffeine-fueled panic before a huge exam. The pressure, the stress, it can honestly feel like a living nightmare. But what if it was more than just a feeling? What if all that pressure actually opened a door to something else? Something truly terrifying? Today, we're diving into some stories where the horror of exam season becomes way too real.
So, let me ask you this. That creeping dread you feel when you're studying all alone late at night, are you absolutely sure it's just nerves? Or could there be something else in the room with you? Something feeding on that fear? Well, let's find out.
Okay, our first story takes us to Kanpur. It's all about a young guy named Suaj. The kind of student everyone knew was going to be a huge success. But when his family moved into a new house right before his big 12th grade exams, everything, and I mean everything, started to fall apart.
Just look at this timeline. It's a classic downward spiral, isn't it? Suraj goes from being this star student to a troubled, isolated kid, and it all seems to center around his new room. His parents, of course, they blame the exam stress. But the truth is so much darker. The problem wasn't the exams, it was the room itself.
This is the moment it all comes out. His uncle, who happens to be a priest, comes to visit and immediately senses this heavy negative energy in the house. So he gently starts asking Suraj some questions, and the confession he gets is just terrifying. See, Suraj isn't just seeing shadows. No. He's seeing a woman on his bed, just staring at the wall. A young boy standing by the window, and then, in a blink, they're just gone.
And here's the reason why. His uncle starts doing some digging and uncovers the horrifying history of the land the house was built on. Suraj's bedroom, it was built directly over an ancient deep well, a place where countless people had died. Their restless spirits are trapped there, and Suraj has been sleeping literally right on top of their grave.
So one night, while he's studying, it all just comes to a terrifying head. The figures reappear, but this time they seem like they're trying to pull him down right into the earth. The whole experience was so traumatic, it landed him in the hospital for a full week. He never did take his final exams that year.
So, that was a haunting that was fueled by a dark history. Now we're going to turn to a case where all that negative energy turns violent. Our next story is about a science teacher named Ranjana, who worked at the prestigious JSM public school in Nainital. This next case honestly reads like something straight out of a police report. You've got Ranjana, a really dedicated teacher. She stays late one evening to grade exam papers and then just disappears. The next day, she's found dead in the staff room, and the investigation hits a brick wall almost immediately because the CCTV footage from that night is, you guessed it, inexplicably corrupted.
So the police are completely stumped. No leads, no motive, absolutely nothing. It's a total dead-end case. But an old woman who runs a tea stall nearby, she has a different theory. She tells the lead investigator, a guy named Ajay, that a ghost killed the teacher. He laughs it off, of course, but with literally no other leads, he figures, what have I got to lose, and decides to check out the staff room himself one night.
He gets inside the locked staff room, and right away, things get strange. The lights flicker and then just explode. The door slams shut and won't open, and then he hears a woman crying. When he turns around, he sees her. It's Ranjana's ghost. But the real moment of pure horror comes when he turns back to the door, and then slowly turns around again. And there she is, right behind him, hanging upside down from the ceiling.
This absolutely terrifying encounter is what leads Ajay to the truth. The ghost points him to a hidden cavity in the wall. Inside, he finds human bones and a doll, for black magic, with Ranjana's picture on it. The killer was her colleague, Anik Ghosh. He was obsessed with her, and in a fit of jealous rage, he killed her. And then, using black magic his sister taught him, he actually trapped her soul in that room so he could visit her whenever he wanted.
Okay, so from a story of twisted love, we're now moving to one of pure desperation. And this one is a serious cautionary tale for any student who has ever thought about taking let's call it a shortcut. So meet Puneet and Karan, two friends who are amazing at sports but just awful at studying. And their final exams were the very next day.
Now their plan, it seems simple enough, doesn't it? Get the key to the principal's office, sneak into the school at night, find the exam paper, copy the questions, and get out clean. They knew the paper would be sitting right there. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, from the second they step into the school, things just feel off. The hallways that are so familiar during the day are just terrifying in the dark. Kern feels this cold breeze on his neck and catches a quick glimpse of a figure at the end of the corridor. They just dismiss it as being paranoid, but that feeling of being watched, it never goes away. So, they get inside the office, and as they're copying the questions, it starts. A soft knock on the door. They freeze, dive under a desk. The knocking gets louder, and then more violent, like someone is trying to break the door down. And then, just as suddenly as it started, complete silence. The door slowly creaks open, but there's no one there.
As they try to scramble out of there, they trip and fall. And that's when they see him. It's the ghost of a school peon, a man who died in that very room over 20 years ago.
And now, for our final story. This one starts with Rishi, a student from a small town in Rajasthan running late for the biggest exam of his entire life, the engineering school entrance exam. He's stressed, he's rushing, but the horror he's about to walk into has absolutely nothing to do with being unprepared.
Rishi manages to get into the exam hall, grabs his paper, and starts writing. About 30 minutes in, he glances up at the clock on the wall. It says 10:35 a.m. He finishes a question, looks up again maybe 10 minutes later, and the clock still says 10:35 a.m. Time itself has stopped, and that's when he really starts to notice the other students.
What happens next is just a complete and total descent into madness. All around him, the other students are doing these horrific things to themselves, almost like they're being driven by some invisible force. Then, the smell of burning flesh fills the room as one student's shirt just ignites.
And through this whole chaotic scene, the supervising teacher just stands there, smiling this really strange smile. When Rishi finally screams out for help, her eyes turn completely white and she joins in on the horror. The entire room is suddenly engulfed in flames and all the students are burning.
Rishi somehow manages to escape, collapsing just outside the classroom door. When he wakes up, a teacher tells him that room has been locked for years. The school guard later gives him the horrifying truth. Years ago, a fire broke out in that exact room during an exam, starting right around 10:30 a.m. 40 students and one teacher burned to death. Rishi hadn't just walked into an exam hall, he had walked into their final, terrifying moments.
So, we've gone from a psychological haunting driven by restless spirits, to a vengeful ghost trapped by black magic, to a desperate attempt at cheating that went horribly, horribly wrong, and finally, to reliving a full-blown massacre. And the one single thread that connects all of them? The immense pressure and anxiety of school exams.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? We all have memories of our old schools, the hallways, the classrooms, the libraries, but after hearing these stories, you really have to ask yourself, what tragedies and what secrets might be hiding just beneath the surface of those familiar places?